Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nicole. I'm a homeschooling mom slash part-time working from home mom. I have a daughter who just turned 11 and is going into 6th grade, and my son is 4 doing some pre-K work. All right guys, so this video is going to be about how I schedule my World Geography unit. I have previously done one. However, that unit was for how I was scheduling it out in 5th grade. In 6th grade, I have streamlined and changed the way that I'm doing things. And I did have several requests from you guys asking how I do this. So I want to let you guys know, like, I have a whole schedule that I have made out for myself. I have it in 2 parts because it's so big. This includes not only world culture, but it also includes biomes. So I have a pretty elaborate one. We're covering Mexico, Guatemala, Peru, Argentina, and Brazil. I talk all about this in my updated part 1 and part 2 World Geography videos if you want more details. So I created my own schedule for myself with the biomes. However, I did create a country file. This is the cover page. This is where you would do the flag and you can color in the name. And then I have a cover for all of the countries, but the body itself is the same. So we will be doing this country file for every single country. I have many different topics from natural world, daily life, culture snapshots, city adventures, epic places, hardship and hope, so many topics in here that I wanted to cover. I purchased Beowulf Junior Geography, as well as Traveling the World by Waldock Way curriculums. Those both have some great parts to them. However, they just weren't giving me what I was looking for. And I honestly don't think any curriculum could have, because I was very specific in what I wanted to teach my daughter. World cultures is so important to me. I'm so passionate about it. I love it. If we could be a traveling homeschooling family, it would just be my ultimate dream come true. And so I really wanted my daughter to delve into these cultures, but I also wanted to be able to manage science and history. So we do this twice a week. We're going to do 1 continent a year, or namely 6 to 7 countries. In this case, we only are covering 5 because I'm doing an Amazon study that is quite intensive. It's probably longer than a country study, if I'm being honest. So, and I also cover several biomes within each continent. So I feel like that gives us a really deep look into the country, a look into the biomes. And so I feel like that's like the best balance that I can find. So this I do have available on my Etsy channel, or excuse me, on my Etsy page. Again, no pressure. I had some requests for it. I put it up for you. It's just another resource, but in it, I will include the body, and I also include a cover for every country. If I missed a country, let me know. I think there's like 195, so I hope I got them all. But I also include a list of all the books that I use for each topic in here. So that leads me to how I set it up. How I set up the country file, not the biome part. If you are interested in me going through this Latin America and showing you how I break it down, I will. The thing is like I have it very set up. Like I like to do the legwork in the beginning and then have it as open and go as possible for the year. So like I have an intro to myself, what I'm going to read to my daughter, what we're going to watch, what we're going to read, activities. I have it listed day by day, what we're doing, so that I know exactly what I'm doing. And I have made this so I can just use this with my son as well. So while I do go over everything from the country file, before and after will often be a biome study included. But for this one particular, I'm just going to go through how I schedule the country file. And the first thing that I do is I will take out all the resources, which if you're interested in those specific resources and all of the specific details on the country file, check out my updated geography videos. But what I do is I'll get them all out and I'll lay them in order of the topics that I have in my country file. And then what I will do is I will write down the pages for that particular country that we're doing, and I'll write them all down. So in front of me, I will have the name of the book and the pages that it's in the order. And then what I will do is I will go through and I will look at those pages and I will see what types of videos I can pull from that specific topic. And then I also try and see what can I combine. A lot of times I'll combine food and language. A lot of times I'll combine like city adventures and culture, because a lot of things that happen in the city are like cultural. festivals or dance or that sort of stuff. So I'll kind of show you how I do that. That kind of changes on a country by country basis. The only thing that I really don't cover in my books is hardship and hope. That's where we'll discuss the poverty or any conservation issues, like maybe endangered species, maybe issues these people have regarding their geography. I don't really go deep into war and politics quite yet. We will be as it goes on, but just issues that are prevalent in these countries. I won't necessarily go looking for them, but a lot of the countries I found do have things that will just come up in my research. And so we will discuss those because I do like to have my daughter see the whole picture. I want her to see the beauty of these cultures. I don't want us to just focus on the issues, but I do want her to see how vastly different her life is from a lot of different cultures in the world, good and bad. So that is one thing that I will research on my own. Okay, before I keep talking your ear off, I'm going to flip the camera around and show you how I get this scheduled. All right, let's get right to it. So this is my country file. Again, it's on my Etsy page. Every single body of this is the same. The only thing that's going to change is the name of the country. When you get it, you're also going to get this list of book recommendations where I have a list of books for each part of the country file. These are the ones that I use personally or recommend. So that's kind of what I'm going to be showing you here. Okay, so I actually start with the natural world. And for questions 1 and 2 regarding the biomes and then naming a place or an example of the biome in that country, I use Animal Atlas. I also use a little bit Where on Earth, but this is like a big portion of that. Let me give you an example. So here we have South America. As you'll see, I have a habitat key that will show me all the biomes, and then it's color coded here. This is great. It breaks it down for each country. What's even more awesome is that it also goes on to the specific region. So for example, in Argentina, this right here, this is temperate grasslands, which is the pampas. And this right here is the tropical rainforest, which is the Amazon rainforest. And then right here you have wetlands, which is the Pantanal, which is in Brazil. So you have, and then the Andes, this is actually just mountains. This isn't actually a biome. And it goes even further as you go in. So for example, here's a spread on the Amazon rainforest, which is the tropical rainforest. So you can look further into what that specifically is on this continent. And then here, this is more for landscape, which you will do on question 3 in the natural world, because the mountains aren't actually a biome. But this does have a lot of good information. Then you have the temperate pampas, which is the temperate grasslands in Argentina. So this will give you information on that. Then you have the Pantanal, which is the wetlands in Brazil. And then you have the Cerrado, which is tropical grasslands in Brazil. So this shows you what the regions are called and the wildlife and animals that you would find within it. So I really like that level of depth that it gives you. This is just more information on the mountains. And then you go on to the next country. This is a phenomenal resource. I use this for a lot of things. Now, Where on Earth, it also has something called wildlife, and let me find that for you. Okay. This wildlife page has all the biomes, and this actually has more technical terms than Animal Atlas did. And I use both of them. However, these wildlife animals do cover up a lot of the parts of biomes. So I predominantly use Animal Atlas, but I will also use this to pull in as well. Okay, so for questions 3 and 6, I also use this book. Questions 3 and 6 are about the landscape, the winds, is the country mostly hot, cold, or a mix, and is what are the climates of the country. So let's go back to South America. So here is what I would use for number 3 for the landscape of that particular country. I would have them find the country. And I like that this isn't named, because as we progress, they're going to have to find the country without all the names in it. And I think that helps them a lot with identifying where the countries are. Then you also have this climate page, and this climate page is where I deal with the wind, is it hot, cold, and the climates, because here you'll see the temperatures, so you can ask them about the temperatures of that country. How many colors are there? What is that? What do they think that means? As far as temperatures go, you can also ask them which winds blow through them. And then based on this, you can also say, is this mostly hot, cold, or a mix, and have them embellish a little bit on that. Okay, so that is the natural world. Then the next thing I do is I will do a country map, and I usually do these both on the same day. So after we have finished this part of it, of natural world, then we will go to the very beginning where we have countries and borders. And I will take this to have the child draw the outline of the country, label the capital city, all the neighboring countries, to draw the rivers and lakes, because this will show everything throughout. And then as far as the major biomes of the country, a lot of time I'll use the wildlife here, or I'll pull out Animal Atlas and I'll have them use the biomes using this continent biome page in here, which I think is great. So usually the first day, that is what I do. Now, if you want to go further, which I do, because I actually have specific biome studies that we do before and after each study. Like for example, in Brazil, we're learning about the Pantanal, and we're learning about the Cerrado, and we're learning about the Andean Mountains when we're doing Peru, and we're learning about the Pampas and the Patagonia Steppe when we're doing Argentina, and I'm doing units on it before and after. However, if you didn't want to do that, there is enough in here if you just wanted to briefly cover it. Now, if you want to go deeper, that's where I would suggest habitat. I didn't put habitat in there because this really does go very in depth over the countries and the types of biomes, and it is more technical. I think this is fantastic. So if you do want to go deeper, this is a great resource. The first day when I'm doing the natural world and when I'm doing the country map, I will start off that day with a cinematic video of that country. So it usually has no words. It usually has songs. It's usually only a couple minutes long, and it's just a great way to show the landscape. And then usually at some point in the middle of this, I will also do another video on like geography or climate, if I can find one that's like kid appropriate, that has some good information in there on that country. Usually the first cinematic video is only a few minutes, so it's nothing really big, but I do really like starting the day with that. Okay, so then the next day we will start working on the flag. And so I will have her draw the flag in here and color it as well. And this is the book I use. This is a great book. It has so much information in here. Sometimes it'll even have a couple 2-day spreads. So I will just have her look at this. There is some information here that she will need to put into the country facts page. Let me show you that. So this country facts page, you're going to be getting this information from a lot of different books. Like for example, the continent and capital city would be using Where on Earth Atlas. The population, country size, rank by size in the world, those things are all going to be using the travel book, which is right here. Like if you look on a country, you'll see up here all of the relevant information that you need is right there. I also use that book for many other things. And then life expectancy, she will have to look up date the flag was adapted. That's what you're going to get from this page. And then the time zone, you're also going to get from Where on Earth Atlas. This is found in the facts page. So this page right here will talk about the time zones always on this side. So that's where I will get that information. And I like to have them figure out how many hours ahead or behind of their time zone they are. I think that really helps them like get perspective on how far away things really are. Okay, so again, this day we'll work on country facts. I'll have her do the flag. And then we'll watch videos, introduction to the country. You know, there's some good fun videos with some facts and things. All right, something else that I forgot to mention is that on the second day when I'm having her draw the flag and filling out some information here on country facts, I am also going through a few more pages in Where on Earth Atlas. I'll start with this country and borders, and I'll start with asking her like what the capital city is. Does she recognize any of the other cities? And then if there's anything about it, like here, I would have her read it. I would go through this and see, is there anything about Peru here or that country anywhere else? And I would have her read it and just kind of ask some questions about it. And then what I would do, and I would do that on every page. So when I were dealing with landscape, I would find whatever is relevant to the country and I would ask her. Same here, I would also go through this and have her find anything relevant to the country. And then the other thing that I would do is I would take this population, again, do whatever's relevant to the country. And then I would say, okay, like for example, here, do you see how there's a lot of population, but there isn't that much here? Do you think it's the biome? Why do you think there's such a low population? Does it have something to do with the geography of it? So we go over that. And again, we find anything about that country. And what I like to do after population is I like to go to the very end and say, okay, looking at this night sky now, does this verify what you saw in the population? Like based on the lights, does it make sense that there's still not very many people here, but there was a lot more people here? So this is a really cool one that I do like to do when I'm doing that second day. Okay, so for the next day, usually the third day, I always combine languages and food. So this is a book I have for languages. I really like it. It has a lot of really good information on it. So like, let's just go to one. Okay, so here's Turkish. So it'll tell you the countries that it's spoken, and it'll give you some information in how to pronounce things, some fun words. That goes along with this page, language fun. So I'll ask what all the countries are that are spoken in this country. Think about regional or indigenous. This is something my daughter would have to look up. And then she'll have to choose one from the list and fill out this information. She can choose out one, she can choose one that we've found in this book if it applies to that country. There isn't always one from this country. And like, for example, say English, say we covered it here. We're not necessarily going to cover it in every other country that we're dealing with. So I would have her do some research on her own, but there is quite a bit of languages in here. Like for example, Spanish, we touch on it in Mexico, but then in all the other countries, we're not really going to be touching on it a whole lot because we already did. So in that case, I like to try and find indigenous languages. There's a lot of videos out there about indigenous languages that these countries are trying to save. So that's a great video. And that's another thing is I always take my videos from the contents in these books that I find. So I've already kind of described the videos I do for the first 2 days. So here what I'll do is I'll see if there's a language video about that particular country. If there's not, I'll find a kid-friendly video about that language, maybe one that teaches a couple words, maybe one that will teach slang, one that'll talk about endangered lessons, just something fun like that to add on. And then I will go on to food. And I have 4 books for that. So this first one is What's on Your Plate. This doesn't include all the countries, but I do like it because it has a good paragraph on what's in there. It has a recipe, and it'll kind of show you the foods around the country and what they are. This is just a really good, visually appealing book. Again, it does not cover all the countries, but it does cover enough. So I do like this one. The next one that I really like is What the World Eats. This is a very popular one. This is going to go with my food favorites. So food favorites, I'll have them pick a traditional food or drink from the country, and there's some questions to answer, and then they will draw that traditional food or drink. Sometimes I may have my daughter paint it, whatever she wants to do. Okay, so here's Ecuador. So here's their house. You can see they live in like maybe that's brick or straw. I can't actually really tell. And this is how they get their food. It'll show you how to prepare the food. It goes very in depth because food is such a part of culture and not everyone just goes to the grocery store and buys it in the same way. So this has a lot of good information all throughout the world. So really like this book. So this next book is made by the same author as What the World Eats. But this, I want to caution you, does have at least one tribe that has no shirt on for the women. It's part of their culture. But it looks like they do go through grocery stores and some things, not fully dressed. So just make sure you're comfortable with it. I still think it's a great addition. You just really need to be cautious if that's something that you're worried about. So, okay. So like, here's an example of India. This kind of does the same thing. It talks about the people, the stores, how they get their food, how they prepare their food. Here's Kenya. Like here's their village. This just gives a lot of information on different parts of the world. So it's an addition to What the World Eats. And I think these are just really great views into the world. So, and the last one I have, which I would say is probably the most important because it does cover most of the countries, is this National Geographic Kids. What it does is it actually goes continent by continent. So let's start with Okay, so here's Africa. So I'll give you an overview, and then it has like different subjects. So like, for example, this is talking about garden and herbs, and it'll show you all around the country, different dishes that are regarding that. And then here you have mighty roots, same thing. You got plentiful produce again. So at least all of your countries will be hit at some point, like some dish that they have here. So they've got a lot of different choices, and there's quite a few spreads to choose from. So I haven't had any problem finding any of my countries, even like Guatemala, which is a smaller one. And then it goes on to the next country. So this is a really good resource. If you had to pick one, I would say go with that one. Okay, and then what I'll do is I will look up videos of the foods that I found in the books, or I'll look up videos on kids trying that food. There's a YouTube channel, Hi Ho Kids, where they try food and snacks from other countries. Or I'll just look up a video on the best foods in that country. And then the next page we have is living cultures. So generally this will be either a day in itself. Sometimes I will combine this with daily life, which is the next page. But some days I have a lot of cultures. So I use the book People and Places. This is a fantastic book. So for one country, this could have several different cultures. So what it'll do is it'll give you the continent, and it'll list all the cultural groups here. And then sometimes you may have one or more cultural group that lives in that specific country. So like, for example, say the Moors were in a country that I was looking at, then I would look up YouTube videos to find on the culture of these people. Same with the Moroccans. The Egyptians, and I would just look up videos of the Tuareg. There's so many cool stuff. I found some really great stuff for South America. So again, so if I have more than one culture here, I'll probably do living cultures in one day and then link videos with it. Some days I'll have 3 or 4. There's a lot in here. So this is a really great resource for the actual different types of people throughout the world. And I'll just have them pick a cultural group, ethnic community, or indigenous people who live there. I'll have them answer those questions, and then I'll have her draw something about the group I chose. It could be how they live, what they wear, or something they do. Now, if I don't have any cultures specifically that I can find to really talk about, or I only have one, then I'll generally combine this with daily life. With daily life, I use the infamous Children Just Like Me. It's infamous for a reason. It's awesome. It has so much information about the kid here. I also use Lonely Planet Kids, This Is My World, which I don't really see that much. I mainly see Children Just Like Me, but this is also great. Some of the countries are duplicate here, but some are not. So I find I get the most coverage by using both. And these ages really vary. I found 10, 11, 7. See, Daniel is 11. We got 8. We got 10. So my daughter is just turned, we got 8. We have 12. My daughter just turned 11. So this can really go, I say, all through middle school, maybe even later if you had to. So these are really great resources. Another book that I got is My School in the Rainforest. I found it at the library, and I bought this used because it does cover several countries. And I think there's a lot of other books like this. I probably haven't been able to find them all. But as you'll see, this covers quite a few countries in here. So I also have this resource as well, which I really like. Another thing that I should mention is that a lot of times with daily life, it will also be combined with hardship and hope. Now, before I get there, so what is a typical day like for someone living in your country? Here's some examples. You'll write about it, and then you'll draw a picture of what a child's daily life might look like. I'm not always going to have my daughter do this. Sometimes if she wants to, she can, but I like having the option. So let me show you hardship and hope real quick. A lot of times I will have hardship and hope with daily life because a lot of the countries, at least the ones that I came across in Latin America, there'll be struggles of poverty, struggles of school, whether it's a lack of education or a lack of ability to get to it. Some of these places in like South America specifically, and also Guatemala, it's really hard to get to school. It's a trek, it's far away. There's just a lot of different things that create hardships. And I like to bring light to that. I won't go purposely looking for things like war and politics and stuff necessarily right now, but I generally find it, and I will find videos on that. Most of the time, what I find will be videos, because none of these books will include it except for this book, which I did talk about. One of my videos, The Land and the People. This book is awesome. It includes just these countries. I wish it had more, but I will use it for all of these because I will be covering all of these. And it does have issues in here that it will talk about. Like, for example, here it talks about climate catastrophe, deforestation. Here it talks about the Great Divide, murderous drug wars, cartel, tackling the problems. So this actually will discuss some issues. So I will use this book for issues, but otherwise I haven't found anything else that talks about issues. And again, you don't have to, but what they'll do here is they'll write about a current issue in this country. They'll write about it. They'll talk about how people are helping with this challenge. What could you do to help? And then I'll have her do one of the following: create a visual symbol or poster that represents the issue, design a poster that shows a solution or an action people are taking to resolve this issue. So I do really like adding that. Okay. So when I'm doing like daily life, say I'm doing daily life on its own, I will find videos of kids in their daily life. I'll find them going to school. I'll find so many different variations of videos there. So always look for videos. I promise you'll always find them. Okay, so let's move on. So the next one that I do is I do culture snapshot. Now, I don't do every single one for every single country. Some I combine and some are redundant. Sometimes I will combine culture snapshot with city adventures because a lot of them will overlap. But so for culture snapshot, some books that I really like to use is Around the World in 80 Festivals. This has just like a little blurb on so many different festivals. And then what I will do is I will look it up online on YouTube, and I almost always find some really cool videos about it. So I'll read a little blurb and we'll watch a video. Another one is the travel book, which is buried. Hold on a second. This book has a lot about culture as well. It'll talk about foods, different items. So this is a great place to see culture as well. Another one multiple that I use is the travel book. This is the adult size of this. So this is the kids travel book by Lonely Planets, and this is the adult. This is fantastic. It has so many cool things in here. I don't use it as much for cultural snapshot, but it's worth looking at to see if you can relate it. Sometimes you can, sometimes this is better for another topic that I'll bring up in a minute. Okay, and then I also have this book, Craft and Design. I love Lonely Planet Kids. They're awesome. This is so cool. This has crafts that you both do and not do. Like, for example, this one you would just draw instead of recreating these. But then some of them you would actually make. So let me show you an example. Like, here's an example of a craft you could do. They have several different ones that you can make. And then again, there's one that you just draw. So there's a really good mix of everything in here. And again, not every country is covered, which is kind of a bummer, but I really like it. And the crafts, they are a little more difficult, some of them, but I like the instructions. I like that it's laid out easier for me. That's something I really need, and that Global Art didn't include for me. So like, we're going to be doing this one, for example, when we do Guatemala. So really like this book. I got this used for just a couple bucks. Totally worth it. Okay. Again, what I'll do is I will look up any art, music, festival, holiday that I find in these countries on video. You can find so much about it, and I get the information from all of these books, which is great. Okay, so here I would have them choose a special holiday, dance, music, art, clothing, or tradition that reflects the culture of this country and what makes them unique, and then draw that. And then here, the next page is city adventures. And again, some of these festivals or the cultural stuff will be within a city. And if I don't have enough to make it a day, I will combine them. So city adventures, this book, I will use the cities book by Lonely Planet Kids. Some days I have one city, some days I have multiple cities. It's a few page spread. Some of them are 4 pages. It has a lot of information. And this in here will also include a lot of stuff about the culture. Like, for example, here is a huge festival on Return of the Dead. And there's just a lot in here. So again, see how you can kind of mix these two together. If you don't have enough, there's a lot of ways to get really creative by this. And what I'll do is whatever city we have, then I will go and I will find a video about that city listed, and I'll find videos like, for example, the top things to do in this city, or cool things to do in this city. It's pretty easy to find, honestly. Okay. And then you would choose a city that you've learned about, and you would fill out some information, and then you would draw something from that city. Now, the next one I have is cool things to do. Now, I have cool things to do, but I also have epic places. A lot of times, these two could be combined. Sometimes they're not, but they're kind of different, okay? So what they are, for example, cool things to do comes from this book, several books. The main one is Globetrotting. So National Geographic Kids. This will have, for every country, it'll have 5 really cool things to do. And this gives you a really good idea. I like this because it shows a little more depth. It's not always your traditional touristy stuff. Some of it is some pretty cool adventures that you could do. I do think there's also an adventure one that you could get. So this is one of them that they'll get things to do, but also in this travel book here, they list things to do. And it's just in alphabetical order. Here it will list best time to visit, top things to do, or top things to see, top things to do, getting under the skin, where they recommend stuff for you to read, listen, watch, eat, and drink. Celebrate this. You got some facts and some information. Now, it will sometimes mention like going to a pub and other things like that, because this is geared for adults, but you can definitely cater this to your kids for sure. It just has a lot. So they'll look at this, and you can also, for videos, I just take things mentioned in here, and I will look up videos for that, of what that experience would be. And you can almost always find it. So here they'll list three fun or exciting things you can do in the country, to choose their favorite and why they would like to do this. And then they can draw themselves doing that activity or what it would look like. Okay, so for epic places, the books that I use, like for example, we have Amazing Earth, the most incredible places around the world. This has some really cool, unique places that you wouldn't always know. It's got a 4-page spread with every single one. So here's like the first page, and then here's the second. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. Like I have this book, Wonders of the World, which is what you would expect. The Eiffel Tower, Leaning Tower, Pisa, all that stuff. This is some of the more unique things that is like natural to the world. Hence the Amazing Earth. So this is great. Again, they're all a 4-page spread. And they vary all throughout the world. So I can almost always find a video regarding what is in Amazing Earth. And then the same with Wonders of the World. Here I will, whatever it is, I can usually always find videos. So this is a great book to have as well. Most of these I got used, you guys. There were so many good videos on the Cave of Crystals. So another one that I got is Hidden Wonders. And the reason why I got this is this has some really cool, unique stuff. Like this one has... let me see if I can find some, like here's an abandoned ghost ship, old car city. There's also like some about, some unique spiders and these fireflies that are so bright. And here's some cathedrals and cemeteries. So they've just got some unique ones. You have like a snake island, which is really cool, different ice caves. There's just a lot of more unique stuff in here. That there was a little bit of crossover, but not a whole lot. So the 3 of these just really give a wide array. And you're not going to be using every single book for every single country. So like some of the bigger ones like Brazil and Mexico, I definitely had more, but Argentina and Guatemala and Peru, there definitely wasn't as much, and having the 3 books really helped give some good coverage. So they'll choose a famous landmark or natural wonder or unique place. They'll write some information on it, and then they'll draw it. And a lot of times my daughter will paint this as well. Okay, so we talked about Hardship and Hope. And then we go into Animal Spotlight. I do a lot of biome stuff with my daughter's separate units where we do cover a lot of wildlife. But there is some wildlife that I cover separately. And the 2 resources that I use for that is this animal book. This is a great book, you guys. So amazing. It has so many different animals in it. So I cover so many for a country. So great. So great. Love this book. So we've got this one, and then we also have Wildlife of the World. I use for animals, but I also use it to look up a certain area. So we have the Central Great Plains in North America. So it'll give you a blurb about that area, and then here it gives you all the animals that you would find. I mean, not every single one, but a really good wide array of all the animals that you would find there. And then here's Sierra Nevada. Here's a little blurb on that. Gives you some information on that biome, that region that's within a biome. And then again, here's all the animals that are there. And then, you know, here you've got the Alps in Europe. You got some blurb on that. And then you have all the animals. So I use this a lot with, like I said, our biomes. So this is a really great resource as well. And then you just choose an animal from this country, fill out this information and draw on it. And, you know, obviously every animal that's listed in that country here, I can almost always find a video, some really cool videos. National Geographic has a bunch of different channels that include cool stuff on it. So you can always find something on your animals. And generally it's a day in it of itself because it's so large. Okay, so then I usually end combining myths and legends with one of a kind. Now, one of a kind is, what do you think makes this country truly unique? What surprised you or impressed you the most? Would you like to visit this country? Why or why not? And then they draw something that represents what this country or what made this country stand out. It could be a place, tradition, symbol, object, or anything that you thought was cool or unique. So I don't always do this. Like if we've done like every single page, maybe I won't have her do it, but I'd like to have all the options there. So I do combine that with myth and legend. So choose a myth, legend, or folktale. She'll write the name of the story. She'll answer some questions and she'll draw about it. Again, she doesn't have to do all of it. I just like to give her options. All right, so for myths and legends, I have 3 books. The ones I'm using with my daughter is the infamous Myths and Legends of the World. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this gets a little dark. If my daughter wasn't so obsessed with these, I might not be as comfortable with some of these. So definitely I would check it out from the library and check and make sure it's something that you would be comfortable with. So we have that one. We also have Mysterious World. This one has a lot on like ghosts, haunted things. Oh, there's Haunted North America. It also has like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, lots of different, the Mystery of the Mermaid, the Kraken, the Pyramids of Giza. So this has like a lot of different legends in it, some scary. It does mention aliens a few times here throughout, maybe like an alien crash or something. And then you have spooky stories. This one is one of my daughter's favorites. Again, I would check this out from the library and see what you think. She really enjoys this. So I actually do enjoy the stories, but they are definitely a little on the freakier side. So definitely check it out and see if that's something you're comfortable with. Okay, so I actually have not looked up any videos when I did the schedule for my daughter. I did not look up any videos on this because it was the end and we had seen so many. So I don't actually know if there's videos out, but with every section included in here, I will always be able to find some sort of a video relating to that country. So I like to combine them in as many days as I can, within reason. Generally, I would say it's probably 8 to 10 days to do a country study, maybe closer to 8 if you're not including all the biomes. Sometimes 7 in some cases, sometimes 6. It just depends on the information I have. So it kind of does vary. And then that may change as we go through the year and I find out we can handle more or less in the day. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.